Hello, I'm Maria Hall Brown, and this is LA Currents. Well, in May of 2025, our guest today made history by becoming the first Asian American to lead the commissioners for the Board of Public Works. I'm delighted to be joined by Stephen Kang. So nice to have you here.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm delighted to join you today.
So was that as momentous for you as it was for the city to be given this honor of becoming the president of the commissioners of the Board of Public Works?
Absolutely. So I was first honored when the mayor asked me to join this Board of Public Works, but I'd never imagined that I would become president of the board and then also becoming the first AAPI. And what was more meaningful is that I became president of the Board of Public Works in the beginning of May, which is also AAPI Heritage Month.
Aww.
So more meaningful.
Lots of celebrations at your house.
Absolutely.
Actually, your point is valid. How are commissioners chosen for the Board of Public Works?
Sure. Just like any other board or commissions here at the City of Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass, she selects, she has to first recommends to the City Council, and then we're all vetted and confirmed by a City Council. So for me, I was recommended by the mayor to the City Council, subject to their confirmation. I went to the Public Works Committee at the City Council, I passed, and then went to the full council for their full confirmation.
So there are only 5 of you. And this is a huge, huge responsibility. I mean, you're all full-time in this position. Is this something that you solicit for, or someone just approaches you and says, Stephen, I think you'd be really good in this commission because you've got experience that we need?
Well, I think it's sometimes both things need to happen.
Okay.
But it's very different for each commissioner. Sometimes it just happens organically, and sometimes people really do campaign for a specific campaign role or commission role. But for me, of course, I was cognizant about this role, but it wasn't as if I was, campaigning all these years to serve in this position. So when Mayor Karen Bass was first elected to lead our city, of course, she reviewed all of its commissioners from, Board of Public Works, Airport, DWP, and everything else, and then saw that, my qualifications really aligned nicely here with the Board of Public Works.
Well, speaking of, you've run a nonprofit, your $20 million budget, et cetera. So what is your background that makes you so thrilled to be a part of this organization?
Yes, absolutely. So I was thrilled to join this board because for many years I was on the outside, on the community end as a city contractor working on infrastructure and beautification projects. There were a lot of issues that I wanted to triage inside City Hall. So there were a lot of systemic issues that I was able to triage on the outside, but with my lens as a city contractor, as a nonprofit, as a community person here at the city, I think I bring that lens here directly to the board, and each of the commissioners bring their unique life experiences to their decision-making process.
And for someone who's not familiar, the Board of Public Works, impacts a swath of the city that is imperative for everyone in the city. What are some of the areas that the commission actually has oversight on?
Sure. We're a 5-member body, all appointed by the mayor with confirmation by the city council. But what makes us so unique is that we're all full-time. We're the only full-time commission body in the city. And people might ask, why? We meet 3 times a week, similar to City Council, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we hold over 150 public meetings. And the role of the board is really to provide that oversight, transparency, public accountability, and that governance to 5 of the most critical infrastructure core building blocks of our city. So we oversee the Bureau of Sanitation, lights, streets, contracts, and engineering that basically works on pretty much all the public right-of-ways, from your streets to your sidewalks to your trees to your sewers to new construction projects, and then leading up to the Olympics as well.
In terms of all the things that make a city run, in particular in Los Angeles, the film industry has become kind of one of those conversation cornerstones a lot, because a lot of our industry was built on the fact that we are the entertainment capital of the world. And you now, from the mayor's office, have the position of oversight in that regard, too. Are you a film buff? And what's going on with what's happening in filming in LA?
I love films, I love TV shows, and I'm very much into all the different streaming devices that are available to the public. But I think I was chosen for this role not because I'm a Hollywood expert per se, but I'm a problem solver. I know how the city works. I know which levers to press to get things done. And the film industry have had some struggles over the years. Of course, the pandemic, and you've seen headlines about production leaving California for financial reasons, right? So it might be cheaper to film in other states or other countries. So what my job is, and why I, as president of the board, is tasked with this responsibility, is that we're very much intertwined. My job is to lure production back into Los Angeles by streamlining many of its old archaic processes and making our city a friendly, open for business in terms of production. So one of the first things that I was able to problem solve is that in the historic core of downtown LA, where many of the production companies likes to come and dress it up for New York, Chicago, other metropolitan cities, our Department of Transportation is doing a pilot of installing concrete barriers because that helps to protect pedestrians, cyclists, and other entities that are in the public right-of-way. So that concrete barrier also pose a barrier to film industry because that
changes the landscape.
It changes the landscape, and New York and Chicago doesn't have those concrete barriers. So yes, they recognize and respect our responsibility of protecting our Angelenos in the public right-of-way. I needed to find a solution real quick, and I was able to speak with my DOT counterparts and came up with sort of a solution where Department of Transportation will remove those barriers during filming so that it doesn't sort of change that landscape. But that is a small win, but a big victory for our industry.
You know, you think about tax incentives, you think about the high cost of production because this is an expensive city, but I never actually thought about the value of the look of a location. Have you designated locations in the city now that are highly desirable for production and given them a little bit of a area or window or something?
So we now have a detailed list of landmarks, popular neighborhoods, streets that are very much in demand by our filming industry to shoot their production, whether it's major blockbuster films or their TV shows. But one of the other areas that I'm working on is that even if this particular location is a very desirable location for Hollywood, sometimes the neighbors are not as receptive to some of the things that are associated with production coming into their street. So I'm also working with our neighborhood council leaders, our city council partners, and our mayor's team to really kind of set that tone, set that expectation, and explain to our residents what are some of the benefits. Yes, some of the street parking might be taken up by production crews for a limited number of days, but that really translates to thousands, sometimes millions of dollars to the local economy that benefits everybody.
How are you helping productions manage the finances here? Because probably the most legitimate reason people left is because it's less expensive in other parts of the country. And if you can bring the talent with you to do what you need to have done, then it makes financial sense to do that. How is LA helping with the financial part of it?
So what I'm happy to share is that recently Sacramento passed a very historic film tax credit. It builds upon what Mayor Bass helped pass in Sacramento when she was in the state legislature many years ago. So that is helping to bring some of that production back. But what I'm focused on is really taking an equity lens into the film permitting process, where different permits incur different levels of cost. So we're looking at ways to, if not only just major blockbuster, but small, low impact filming also happens in Los Angeles quite frequently. And why don't we lower the barrier in terms of the threshold so that we don't charge you the same amount of money for a major blockbuster film versus a student run or a nonprofit film. So we're looking at a tiered pricing model to implement here in LA so that we welcome all different sizes of production back. And then also here within the city departments, we're looking at whether, LAPD, the fire department, rec and parks, and other departments can lower some of the threshold based on the size of that production so that it's less costly, less cost prohibitive for that production to be shot here in LA.
Thank you, because I can actually say from a firsthand perspective that actually the cost of a location where I was going to film once was very reasonable. It was the security of the police department and shutting down the streets that made it completely impossible for us to actually do something. So you're right, it does integrate with other departments. Though I was getting ready to chat with you today, I was surprised that there are an enormous amount of locations within the city that are legitimately free and or very, very low cost. I didn't know that those resources were available. How does one attain all that information?
So we contract out our permitting services right now with an entity called Film LA, which is a nonprofit. And yes, they were recently awarded a 5-year extension with the city of LA. They serve as sort of that one-stop shop. Yes, there are issues related to the filming process, and we're having some extensive dialogue with Film LA to make some major amendments to that, including tiered pricing. But that's your go-to first entry. And then if there are issues, people can contact me directly. But to give you an example, here, we're inside City Hall in downtown Los Angeles. City Hall is the People's Building, and it is free to film. That doesn't mean all of your costs get covered, but at least to reserve this building, there is no added cost, right? However, the security, janitorial, things will add up. But this is a very desirable landmark that people have shot, courtrooms in, or different types of law enforcement productions and others.
Obviously, there's more than just film. So what are some of the other priorities that the Board of Public Works is focusing on right now?
Sure. Most recently, along with the City Council, the Mayor, the Board of Public Works also approved the construction contract for the LA Convention Center expansion and modernization project. So that is a very robust project that will expand the size of the convention center and in time to welcome the world for the 2028 Olympic Games and Paralympic Games. That is within the oversight governance aspect of the Board of Public Works, so that because it is being led by our very own Bureau of Engineering. So we're going to be very much on top of our construction project along with our city council members to ensure that that project is delivered on time and not over budget. And then also related to the Olympics, we have less than 3 years to go. That might sound like a long time, but to get all of our public infrastructure upgraded in time to welcome the world, that is a very short time. So we're making sure that all of our resources, given our budgetary constraints, are equitably distributed across the board. But that doesn't mean we're not going to be taking care of non-Olympic projects. I've had multiple discussions with council members to alleviate their concerns. Just because you don't have an Olympic venue doesn't mean your district will not get resources. Every district across the city, the 15 council district, will get equal amount of time and resources.
I'm going to ask a very naive question just from a practical standpoint. Keeping the convention center open and still welcoming all that needed business while upgrading the convention center and expanding it. And finally, how does the convention center impact the Olympics? What will be there that is so prescient that has to be put on the fast track like this?
Sure. Although the area that we're making the expansion in won't be open to be accessible for the Olympic Games per se.
Okay.
However, we felt that the urgency of the moment in terms of revitalizing downtown LA to where it needs to be could not wait another 3 years, because a lot of these public infrastructure projects take many years to develop and complete, and we didn't want to wait until after the Olympics to get started on this project. And also, time is money, and every day that we wait, construction costs will rise even further. And I know there are concerns about the budget and cost overruns, but I have hope that, and I have firm belief that when we have a firm deadline, And we do have a firm deadline because we can't push back the Olympics. So our staff and our construction partners and our labor partners are well aware of that timeline. We can get it done on time.
From your vantage point, how are we doing?
I think, I get this question a lot.
A lot, because everyone wants to know.
Of course. But what I tell them is right now we're in sort of that growing pains phase where you're seeing a lot of construction in different parts of town, different parts of the city, but you're not seeing those headlines and you're not seeing sort of the final ribbon cutting projects that are coming to life. But what I tell them is that our city has been working on this for many years before, because a lot of the infrastructure projects are not just city standalone, but it is a partnership with Metro, with Caltrans, with all the other government entities that help manage the city of Los Angeles. So for example, there's a brand new Purple Line that's been an underground metro project that is partnership with the city, that connecting from the Wilton Theater in Koreatown, Wilshire and Western to UCLA. So with stops, once that's open, way in before the Olympics, that's an 18-minute one-way.
Wow.
If you were to drive from central LA
2-3 days
to UCLA, it takes a long time because
Yeah.
distance-wise it's not that far because of gridlock, all the traffic. But those things are going to be opening up. I know the people mover system at LAX. There's going to be other underground construction projects, and also many of the sidewalks and the trees and the streets are now being prepped for the games ahead of time. So yes, there has been some delays, unfortunately, because of the fires and recently the ice raids. Those things are not helping to move projects along, but we feel the urgency with the mandate from Mayor Bass.
You made me think of something that I hadn't actually. With the Olympics coming and with Los Angeles being such a culturally rich city, and your mention of Koreatown, what are some of the cultural highlights that you are hoping to inspire that will be part of the celebration of the Olympics?
So many of the countries that are participating in the Olympic and Paralympic Games will be opening up sort of their pop-up houses, their cultural houses in all different parts of the city. And Mayor Bass is very much committed in making sure that many of these countries open their houses in their respective communities. For example, the country of South Korea, we're hoping that they open their Korea house in Koreatown and vice versa. In many of our beautiful cultural communities throughout Los Angeles, because once those pop-up houses are open, they're going to be operating for many months. They'll be catering food. They're going to be hosting performances. They're going to be hosting the athletes, all kind of cultural and artistic shows. That's going to benefit the immediate local economy, whether you're the restaurants, the dry cleaners, the hotel, the printer, etc. So that's going to revitalize that particular area of town. And Mayor Bass, her vision is to make sure that these houses are open throughout the city and that really funds back into our local economy.
You mentioned also with that issue of transportation, I have to ask you about the 105 freeway, because I was looking at all the different options and alternatives. So first of all, who has the final say on the expansion of the 105 freeway?
Sure, that is a Caltrans and a Metro joint project, although because it impacts our cities right away, it is a partnership, and I recently voted on a street closure measure that Metro and Caltrans came, but ultimately it is led by Caltrans because freeways are within the jurisdiction of the state of California under Caltrans. However, because it runs within the city of Los Angeles, it is a partnership. So 105 freeway project is what we're essentially doing. We've already started the phase one earlier of 2025, is to convert sort of the carpool lanes into the fast track lanes. So 2 lanes of fast track on each side of the freeway. And that should be completed within 3 years in advance of the Olympics to ensure that we have drivers and people moving from point A to point B for the Olympic Games.
Impacted a lot of people, and a lot of people had commentary about how they felt about everything. But in regards to the city at large, how important is people's feedback to the commission? Do you pay a lot of attention to what your constituents say in regards to how things impact their lives?
Absolutely. In addition to us hosting public meetings, we're out in the community at different community functions, public town halls, neighborhood council meetings, listening to feedback. So when we vote on street closures, for example, whether it's a metro project or Department of Transportation, we make sure to take that community input. For example, when that purple line extension project needed to close Wilshire Boulevard, which is a major thoroughfare in the city of LA and Koreatown, but they didn't realize that coincided with a major cultural landmark in the community. And imagine Wilshire being closed when the community is trying to celebrate a major milestone. So I made sure that the bureaus and the department was aware, and we adapted and we changed the date to accommodate so that we don't disrupt those community celebrations. So that is one example. And also we have constituents that directly contact us with whether it's a tree-related issue, whether it's a street pothole issues. We feel that we're a big case worker as well, making sure that a lot of the constituent casework that we resolve in partnership with council and the mayor's office.
I was going to say, how close do you work with council? I mean, obviously with these neighborhood events, I would think that you would be directly working with council members to be present and to support them when they're doing their work in their neighborhoods and communities.
Absolutely. So there's 15 council districts. There's 5 of us.
Right.
So each of us has 3 lead council districts.
Okay.
So each of the commissioners on the Board of Public Works, they have their 3 assigned council districts, and we are very familiar with those 3 districts. So we meet on a regular basis with the staff, the council member, to hear their priorities. In return, we also tell them about our priorities. We recently just did a big round with many of the council members telling them what our priority is for the new fiscal year, and then also triage many of the issues because, you know, council districts are large and they have a variety of issues that they need to attend to. So they're not able to triage every single issue effectively. So their staff is always in communication with us directly to say, like, hey, you know, Commissioner, can you help, you know, streamline, you know, this street repavement or this tree issue or this sidewalk issue or any other issue related to public infrastructure?
Well, we are going to run out of time, but it's imperative that I ask you an incredibly important question because you have very clearly said very proudly that you are a foodie.
Yes.
So what is your go-to? Where's your favorite restaurant around your neighborhood, or what is your favorite go-to when you want to, you know, celebrate that? Or are you just an at-home chef that has to do everything at home?
Well, you know, I have to take a page from Councilmember Heather Hutt, who represents the 10th Council District and a bulk of Koreatown, in that I think the 10th Council District really is the tapestry of Los Angeles in terms of the food. Mm-hmm. I also live in CD10, so I want to, you know, Councilmember Hutt, thank you for your quote. Mm-hmm. But I really am biased towards the food scene in Council District 10 because you have all the amazing Korean food, from the Korean barbecue to gelagetsa, Central American, moles, to you go down the Crenshaw corridors, you have amazing soul food. And then you go to Council District 8, Doolin's, Earl's Grill. But here in downtown Los Angeles, we have amazing sushi. So one gem of a restaurant that, you know, I go to is Sushi Go 55. It's tucked away in a very low-key mall here in Little Tokyo. They have one of the best sushi menus you could find in our city. Wow. And then to the valley, I mean, we have one of the best food destinations in the world.
I do not doubt that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. So how long does a commissioner post last?
So each of us, our full term is 5 years. Okay. But we do serve at the pleasure of the mayor. Okay,
so you will be here for the Olympics.
Yes, I'm hoping to finish out my term through the Olympics, yes.
All right. Well, there's so much happening in this, and we've barely scratched the surface of everything that the Board of Public Works does. So if somebody wants to learn about what current priorities are or what's happening in the city or plans for the Olympics, what's the best way for them to find out what the Board of Public Works is up to?
Sure, you can go to our main website, which is DPW, Department of Public Works, dpw.lacity.gov. So that's dpw.lacity.gov. So when you go in there, you'll find pictures of all the 5 commissioners, including myself, and what we do, our background, our assignments, and also links to all of our social media pages, which I hope you'll subscribe and you'll follow so that you'll get the latest information about, Shine LA, other mayoral priorities, other priorities that we're working on, and then updates related to the convention center and so much more.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on the appointment. I hope that
Thank
it is
you.
something that you enjoy. Congratulations on working with the film industry here. Congratulations on all your plans for the Olympics, and good hints and tips on food. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So come visit Los Angeles, not just for the Olympics, for all the food.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap on this LA Currents.